Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick. Southeast Radio.
One of the biggest challenges which business owners face today is attracting and retaining talent. My first guest, Stephen Flanagan from Talent Attract, has developed a new approach to address this problem. Stephen, before we discuss your business, Talent Attract, I would like to talk to you about your work as an employment brand consultant. So what is the remit of this role?
Yeah, well, basically, I don't know if your listeners would be aware of what employer brand is about. Basically, it's taking the remit of brand within marketing and then applying it to the employer world. So it's using marketing techniques to, in my case, attract and retain talent for companies.
So how is that achieved?
It's through using marketing techniques. So in my case, what I'll do is I will look at a company's value proposition when it comes to their employees or prospective employees. I will analyse that and then look at ways that they can improve it. Typically, this is through their attraction strategy. And what I've found to date is that a lot of companies are still doing the same things that companies were doing 50, 60, 70 years ago, believe it or not.
Now, I'm going to speak to you about some of the common mistakes that employers make later in the interview. But first, you've worked with many big brands, including Vodafone, Etihad and RTE. But I'm interested to find out, what did you learn from these clients?
Yeah, well, many moons ago, Karl, I was actually working for advertising agencies. And as you say, you've cited a few examples that were clients of some of the advertising agencies that I was working for. And I'd say probably the biggest eye-opener that I got from that job, I was the account manager. I was managing the accounts, but working closely with the design team. What became very clear to me was the amount of detail that would go into managing a brand. So for people that aren't involved in marketing, obviously they would see advertising, they would read the newspapers and see ads, see billboards, see it on social media and so forth and so on. And some will appreciate that there are psychological elements to trying to make people buy things. But it's the nth degree that these brands go to in regards to using colours and words and images and people to be able to convey what they want to say about that brand. To give you an example, if you take Coca-Cola, one of the biggest and most successful brands in the world, but what is the product? It's a highly sugared fizzy drink. But if you look at their marketing and specifically their advertising, what they'll say at the moment is that they're selling happiness. So, for example, I went past a billboard the other day, and within that, there was two young, good-looking people, bottles of Coca-Cola in their hands, grinning from ear to ear. So what Coca-Cola is doing within their brand at the moment is saying, we're selling happiness. If you drink our product, you will be happy. And that's an example of a very successful brand.
Now, I know that it was during your time working for Hayes Recruitment that you noticed a gap in the recruitment process.
Basically, what companies were doing were saying, here's the job that I have. This is what I want you to do within this job. And these are the skills or requirements that you need to be able to do this job. Full stop. And to me, that seemed insane because there was nothing in there that was relating to the candidate. So within marketing, within advertising, we would say, what does the consumer get out of this? And in this case, what was the candidate going to get out of the job ad? There was nothing where they were trying to sell the job to that particular candidate.
So your solution to this problem was to set up a business called Talent Attract. So give us an insight into the work that Talent Attract does.
Well, just to give you an idea, at the moment, the majority of the work is around attracting talent. So as you can imagine, we have a situation here in Ireland where the CSO is saying we've got the lowest unemployment since the depths of the last recession. There are reports coming out almost 2 a month that are talking about skill shortages and how people can't fill jobs. So basically what I do is I will help them with their recruitment marketing strategy. So if they are looking to bring somebody in, how do they position themselves? How do they try and sell the job to a particular candidate? And how do they sell the company itself? So that would be where the vast majority of my work is. Then beyond that, I look at the overall advertising strategy for the particular job. And then I also look at candidate retention. So if a company is looking to hold on to staff, and these days with there being so little unemployment, there are more people moving around. So how do you keep hold of your good staff? What can you do to make them think that they are in a good company and they should stay there and grow their career there? Then I help recruiters and HR professionals with training in regards to candidate attraction.
Okay, Stephen, so if you're contacted by a company that wants some assistance in terms of attracting talent to their organisation, what process do you bring them through?
Well, basically, to start off with, Karl, the most important thing is to try and get a deep understanding of the company and the role itself. So what I've found from experience is that sometimes within the recruitment process, the job is just taken a face value. You know, people are in pressurized jobs. They've got so much to do. And sometimes this process can become transactional. And so what I need to do is then look at that company and say, well, what is it within what you're offering that is going to appeal to the candidate to get a true understanding of the role? And what's interesting is that a lot of companies sometimes don't realise actually what their offering is. A typical comment that I get when I'm working with companies is, once you position what an ad is, selling the company and selling the job, they go, wow, reading that I wouldn't have known it was us. And I think part of it is maybe literal ignorance. You know, people obviously aren't experienced within marketing and they don't know to be able to use these techniques to sell their company. And then part of it is, I think, a legacy of what recruitment was in the past when jobs were a scarcity.
And from your experience, how influential is the employer brand when attracting new talent to the company?
Well, it's absolutely essential, Karl. I mean, just to give you an example, LinkedIn did a report earlier on this year showing the power of employer brand. And I'll kind of roll off a couple of stats to you if you don't mind. So 72% of recruiting leaders worldwide agree that employer brand has a significant impact on their hiring. 50% of their cost per hire has been reduced through considering employer brand. Time to hire has increased by over 200%. Equally, on the flip side, 75% of job seekers consider an employer's brand before applying for a job. So if your proposition is out there and all it is saying is, here's a job we have, this is what we want you to do, this is what you must give us, then you're really going to struggle in trying to get great people in the current environment.
And Stephen, from your own insights into the sector, what are the most common mistakes which HR personnel and recruitment agencies make in their efforts to source new staff?
A common mistake is a lot of companies aren't stopping to say, okay, how are we going to sell this to the candidate? What is the challenge of the role? Are we talking about training and development? Are we talking about promotional prospects? Are we talking about benefits? So when I say about using marketing techniques, what I would say within my training is, if you're writing a job ad or you're looking to attract somebody to a job, put yourself in the shoes of the candidate. So think of what the particular job is and what's going to attract that particular candidate to that role. What is it that floats their boat? Because people in different industries have different things that excite them in regards to their work. And just ask yourself, if that person is in a good job and they're successful, why would they want to leave that to come and work for my company?
So from Talent Approach's perspective then, Stephen, what are the essential ingredients for an effective recruitment campaign?
Selling the job is probably the most important thing. And then second most important thing is to be honest. So what I say to people is there's no point telling candidates or telling people within your company what they want to hear if it's not the truth, because you get caught out in the long run and basically you just end up wasting time. So, for example, if you post a job and that job is stressful and there's long hours, potentially this person might be working at the weekends or working into the evening, you're better to tell them up front, because if potentially halfway through the recruitment process, or even worse, when you've hired them, they find out what they thought was a job that was finishing at 5:30 or 6, they're expected to stay to 8 or 9 o'clock, and they've got kids to go back to look after, or they're just not really interested in a job with long hours, they're going to walk after a number of months.
And in this day and age, is social recruitment a must for all recruitment campaigns?
Absolutely. So you know yourself, Carl, that we all unfortunately live and breathe by social media these days with whatever channels it is that we use. And I think, considering that it's free for companies to maybe post on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, you'd be mad not to use that resource when you consider the huge audiences that there are out there. But what I would say is that if a company is considering using social media to advertise their job, what would be useful is if they had a careers page as part of their website. From one side, because they can talk about how great a company they are, show pictures and feedback and testimonial from their staff saying, I like working here, here are the reasons why. But equally, then they can post that job onto the careers page, use the URL, put that into their social media post, and then that will direct people through to the careers page and help them find things out about the company.
Now, it is one thing to attract talent to an organisation, but it's certainly another challenge to retain it. What advice have you got for companies in that respect, Stephen?
Well, at the end of the day, it comes down to old-fashioned communication. And you'd be amazed just, again, kind of talking about the candidate attraction side, how companies sometimes just don't think about what they have to offer and then tell potential candidates. Equally within their own company, they don't communicate to their staff the great things that they do for them. So, it could be something as simple as, maybe like a sports get-together, on a Wednesday or a Thursday evening that the company organises and everyone does. It could be getting out at 4 o'clock on a Friday, or it could be the away days that they have for high-performing people. There are lots of things that companies do, and unless they're actually sitting in a review where this person is now considering that they want to leave because they've been offered another job, they don't take that opportunity to sell the job, to sell the company to the person during employee reviews or using their internal communication system to say, look, here's the great stuff that we're doing.
Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick. Southeast